trend spotting panel for today is on the topic Media as an Experience, how AI and digital are transforming print and TV. Please welcome on stage the moderator for this panel, Mehraj Dube, who is the Vice President at Zee Media. Mehraj is an award-winning broadcaster and is currently leading the marketing department at Zee Media Corp. His portfolio includes Zee News and Vion. The first panelist is Arjun Chatterjee, who is the founder of Runtime Solutions and is an award-winning entrepreneur. Please welcome Arjun on stage. The second panelist is Diptarup Chakraborti, who has nearly 20 years of experience in technology marketing. And he's worked with companies like IBM, Gartner, Capgemini, Mastech, and Zycus. Panelist number 3 is Ankoor Dasguupta. Ankoor is working with Shiros in the capacity of Vice President. Please welcome them all on stage, ladies and gentlemen. Over to you, Mehraj.
Talking about media as an experience and how TV and print are being transformed through AI or technology. To me, the central point is how consumers are impacted, and they are going to lead us into something really new that we haven't really thought of, and that's what's been happening. Because, you know, one example, I'm not sure if I should name, but maybe Sony live with FIFA and the success around FIFA they had in India. And once they build that number, they go to Times of India. Let's buy a jacket on Times of India. And until then, you were an OTT trying to impress digital audiences. So that's the story, which is very interesting to me. And OTT, for example, it's everyone's sore point, a challenge before all of us, all TV networks in India. I come from one of them. And then you check out the data, suddenly you realize more than half of OTT viewers in US are watching OTT on their television sets. So they are all either using smart TVs or whatever devices, but OTT for them is one tool on TV. And here we were thinking that the audiences will move from TV to OTT. So as we're moving from geographies to psychographies, whichever way you pronounce it, but I think that's where the transformation is happening. So digital or AI is not changing us. It's helping us transform. It is not forcing us. It's not a threat. It's actually its answer to a question. It's a solution to our consumers. So, Dipta, how would you want to start on the stuff we were talking about? Let's say languages. So print, if you talk about, is actually growing in Indian languages area, if not in English.
Yeah, I mean, if you see, let's leave data aside. I just give you an anecdotal context. I was coming from a wedding in Calicut in a bus. There was a padre or a priest who was sitting next to me, and he was reading on something on Malayalam on his WhatsApp messenger. So I asked him what was he reading. He said he was reading the news. So I said, do you consume news only in local language? He said, everybody in Kerala does it. So that made me thinking, I'm from B2B background, and we think the language of business is English, which perhaps in the technology industry is. But if I go beyond technology and I go to other business centers, language is a mode of communication for almost everything. I was talking to someone who's making Arjun actually, who's making some commercials for the commercial truck industry. And over there, you cannot have English as the language of communication. What I'm trying to say over here is that media today is not just print, TV, and OTT. WhatsApp is a medium itself, and that is going language. Everybody is consuming it in their own mother tongue, more or less. And the technology is also supporting it. You are able to write in Hindi or Bengali or Malayalam as fast as you can write in English. So I think this journey is not new, it is old. So it's going to be maturing and developing much faster.
Well, Ankoor from Shiros, and name particularly attracts me because so far it was about heroes, and now we have Shiros. So, and essentially a digital platform, am I right? What do you think is the role of print and TV with women community of audiences which you are addressing, and what is the gap that you are filling, and all that, how all that is changing?
Right. So, Mehraj, I mean, first of all, a big hello to all, and thank you for the opportunity. It's a privilege. Now, according to me, it technically all boils down to how we think of what creativity and data is. So, the pedestal being creativity and data, and the mix of two, as we have been, age-old conversations regarding merging the two. So, ideally, what we feel is creativity is primarily what our upbringing, our thought process, and our understanding of narratives are for every communication or messaging that we absorb. So, what we are trying to do at Shiro's is we are trying to create a narrative which is filling in the gap by building communities for all kinds of women and in a safe and empathetic, trust and constructive space. So now having said that, I would say the only challenge that I see, I'm specifically talking about a challenge, with print, television and digital, there is particularly no data in terms of, I would say, I don't know if segmentation is the right word, but data which can be utilized from all these three channels together to get a combined effect in terms of learnings. So that particular piece is right now probably being worked on, or it's not there. And separate mediums is fine, but I believe once these three as mediums together, there is a connect between three mediums plus the digital platforms, then it becomes, be it a woman's platform, be it a man's platform, be it any platform for that matter, it becomes very easier to absorb learnings, understand consumer behaviors, understand and anticipate what the ecosystem would need, for example, in the next 1 year or next 2 years, that we can solve. So essentially, for print, television, and digital as platforms, I mean, obviously AIs and Internet of Things and algorithms. So these are essentially, things that essentially solve something. So at the end of the day, I believe, for example, Google AMP. I mean, after AMP pages have been launched, it's, the content consumption has grown over 40%. So a lot of new things have been happening. However, having said that, print, digital, and television, there needs to be a connected segmentation in
Definitely,
that.
it's a solutions approach because I would really appreciate Google, essentially a digital company, utilizing outdoors and newspapers in a very innovative manner. So I think it's not going to go out anywhere in near future. Arjun, what do you say?
So I have a slightly different, kind of reaction to.
I mean, especially when you're representing a digital
Right.
firm, right?
Right. So I think there are three trends which are relevant the way I look at it. One is that attention spans have gone down tremendously amongst consumers. Number two is that I think consumers are very little control freakish about the time that they have, to spend on brands today or any medium today. So they want to be very choosy and selective about the time spent on any product or brand or any communication as such. The third thing that has happened is that I think brands, nobody sells products and goods and services anymore. I think if you look at every category, everybody is selling experience today. Whether it's Nike trying to talk about shoes, they're still trying to mix it up with patriotism. If you're talking about Amazon or any of the brands across the world, everybody is like really wanting to connect via experiences because goods and services are kind of already well established in the consumer psyche already. So my take on this is that brands today will have to work that much harder. As marketeers, we have to work that much harder to go beyond print, television or digital and really create experiences which become memorable and then create the brand connect and the brand loyalty with customers. So a couple of examples over there. There's a shoe company in the US called Tom's, which basically launched itself saying that, we're going to donate a pair of shoes to underprivileged people for every shoe that you buy. And how they actually did this is they used virtual reality as an experience of customers being able to walk through the slums of Colombia, Bogota, so that you could actually walk in the shoes of somebody who you were donating to. So that's how a technology enables an experience, and it really shot their sales through the roof, in terms of Tom shoe sales. That's one category which got disintermediated. I think there's a lot of talk also, a lot of experiments rather happening in the augmented reality space with pharmacies, pharmaceutical companies, enabling their, drugs to actually be able to, nobody searches for information anymore, except when it's at the point of sale today. Everyone takes information for granted as a consumer. So what it allows you to do is just scan the pharmaceutical, the drug bottle or the drug capsule case, and it immediately tells you what are the side effects, symptoms, how much dose would actually, of course, be required for any symptoms that you have. It doesn't replace the pharmacist, it doesn't replace the doctor, but it kind of enhances the experience for the customer as it goes ahead. Yeah. So I think brands are increasingly being posed the challenge to...
No doubt. I think brand is what matters at the end of the day. I mean, coming from news media, you don't even remember which story you read on which medium. Was it on your mobile, or you were reading at home in a newspaper, or you're watching it on TV? Because story matters and the brand matters, the storyteller matters. But quickly, action points on respective mediums, because all of us are here, dealing with real marketing challenges. Maybe I could start with myself. I would think television has to believe and really promote addressables. Ads must show only when people are watching it. The reverse path data we were talking about at office other day. Most DTH platforms are going to introduce in India data of TV viewing, real-time data. Television has to share with the marketeers. And of course, newspapers, the impact is definitely there, and they have to provide solutions. It's not just about ad space. Right from buying it, B2B experience, buying, you don't have to stay in office till 9 p.m. to sign that RO. You could, just click it, something like that. So that's two, three things for me as an action that I want to see or want to implement going in future.
I like that idea.
Please.
So I think...
So quickly, we got 2 minutes. Yeah.
Definitely. So I believe staying relevant throughout, it's a cliched statement now, but I think it's one of the primary things of significance that is a challenge. Because consumer needs and consumer wants, and what the consumer would want after a particular period of time, and what the consumer doesn't know that he or she may want after a particular period of time. So that is a challenge which I believe the marketers and the media together need to resolve. This is one. And number two is, rather than probably, we talk a lot about best practices sharing. So we should probably think about what should be the next practices in terms of not only innovation, but innovation that could add value to the space, add value which is tangible, which is measurable. And that is a challenge, of course, because it all seems hunky-dory at the face of it, but I believe that's the thing that marketers are, face as a challenge from day-to-day basis. That
okay. I feel that I'm coming from a technology industry, I would say there will be a lot of consolidation happening. Technology platforms will be the media of tomorrow. You just heard that Salesforce bought Time. I wouldn't be surprised if something like Microsoft buys Netflix. There was a time when Microsoft wanted to buy Google. When I was in Gartner, it was some very aggressive talk. So there would be an oligopoly of platforms which will be technology providers, because they are the only ones which have huge valuations and huge capital. So don't be surprised if you have Microsoft TV, you have Google TV, which is Google basically creating content, something like that. Technology will be the driver of media for tomorrow.
Right. So
last 20 seconds for you.
Not much to add for what Diptarup said, but I think the merging of technologies of AI or big data that we keep hearing about, and merging them with emerging tech like augmented or virtual reality or facial recognition or iris recognition or biometric or all the various customer profiling technologies which are kind of coming in, they have to sit on top of data so that it becomes part of the dashboard, which makes decision making and targeting and business decisions that much more correct, because there's a lot of budgets riding on those decisions. So it's important that as marketeers we get that correct, and what Mehraj said, to sign off quickly also on those decisions.
Definitely, decision making to get that corrected, and everything else should help us make a decision. That's where I think the whole marketing challenge lies. Thank you so much, speakers. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.